My sister-in-law just framed me. She's making everybody believe that I'm a thief in the family business that she got hired to that I never even wanted her to be a part of. Well, long story short, I hate her guts. And now she's trying to just blame me for something that I know she did. Well, I'm going to set up traps, and I'm going to catch her cold-handed, doing exactly what I know she's been doing, stealing this money to go on spa trips, and you guys can witness me do it. Hey, I'm 34. I live in a fairly small town, just an hour or two away from the closest major city. I've lived here pretty much my entire life and has most of my family, with the exception of a few years where I lived in a city of universities. Like most of my family, I work for my father. At an office supply company he started when he was just a little younger than I am now. For a family business, we do pretty well on a local scale. The only chain store in town that focuses on the same thing is located near a pretty bad area. People feel safer coming to our store, and my father has worked really hard to establish relationships with some of the other local businesses in return for their continued loyalty. We deliver supplies directly to them as needed so they don't have to waste time coming into the store. My brother Cody is in charge of making these deliveries, as well as keeping us stocked, and our mother helps keep the books while I assist my father in maintaining public relations with the local businesses. Recently, we've been making some changes to our business model. My husband Steve started working with us after his old marketing firm laid him off due to a downsizing. One of the reasons they selected him for layoffs is that he tends to be a little overzealous in dealing with clients. They'll want some fairly basic marketing plans, and he'll come in with this huge new direction that can take the company in order to expand. His ideas are often interesting, but not all clients who request a website or a few ads are looking for bold, risky ventures. Luckily, my father finds this aspect of Steven's character charming. As long as he delivers on whatever my father requests of him, he doesn't mind listening to a few of Steve's ideas on the side. The changes started when Steve talked about expanding our market by offering deliveries to businesses in a wider radius. We started getting new customers almost immediately, but it became clear right away that Cody would not be able to handle so many deliveries on his own while still performing all of his other duties. My best friend Gabby, she's 31, already helps at the register and handles mental tasks, and, it's her free time, but it would not be reasonable for her to take on all the duties that Cody has been performing. My parents tried to recruit my sister Julie to provide extra help, but she's always been adamant about not joining the business because she's trying to focus on photography as her full-time gig. Well, that left our options somewhat limited. So Cody suggested we hire his wife Kelly. I like Kelly enough, but I honestly have doubts about taking her on. They've been married less than a year, and I don't think she's held a job at any point during their relationship. She's mentioned working at Starbucks before, but it really sounds like it's something that she just did part-time after high school. Still, our father has a soft spot for Cody, and Kelly never ruffled any feathers, so my father agrees to give her the job. I privately advised him against it, but he's a pretty old-fashioned guy. He doesn't like to hire outside the family if he can avoid it, and if Kelly is available and willing to work, it'll save him time reading applications and conducting interviews. Since I would often be helping him with that, I have to concede that I'm somewhat thankful not to have to go through the process myself. Even so, I had my doubts about Kelly. She started raising red flags on her very first day, and Cody had an early delivery, so I was going back to handle Kelly's training while he was gone. And he was going to take over when he got back before just taking her out on a delivery. While I was walking Kelly around the store, she cracked a joke about how working for the family business must be easy money. I didn't say anything about it, but it really rubbed me the wrong way. My father poured his life into his business, and we all take it very seriously. Aside from that, she just does not seem very interested when I was explaining the job. I called Julie at lunch to vent about it, and even she didn't think Kelly's joke was very funny. Just because Julie chose to do her own things doesn't mean she takes the business any less seriously, than the rest of us. She told me to keep an eye on Kelly, and I told her that I had already planned on it. Kelly performed her duties adequately over the first few days, but she always seemed a bit sluggish. A real notable incident happened a few weeks ago, when a customer brought in an outside drink from a nearby fast food place. We sell snacks and sodas by the counter, but we allow customers to bring outside drinks in because we know that sometimes, some of them are just stopping in for their lunch break. This particular customer accidentally dropped his drink in one of the aisles, and it made a mess of the lower shelf of printer paper. Since Gabby was busy on the register and Cody was out on a delivery, I asked Kelly to clean it up. She heaved some dramatic sigh and walked slowly to the back to get the mop bucket. When I checked on her about 10 minutes later, Kelly still had not mopped up the entire spill. She was lazily moving the mop over the spilled soda, acting like it was the hardest thing in the world. It felt like a weaponized incompetence to me. I refused to believe that woman spent half a year as a stay-at-home wife without learning how to mop a floor. I told her that she needed to speed things up so we could let the floors go about drying. Well, she did it, but she was clearly annoyed that I even asked her to do it. It had me wondering if maybe she actually was like this all the time, even at home. And that's why Cody was so set on getting her a job in the first place, to get her the heck out of there. I talked to my father about it, but he told me to go easy on her because she was still new, and I understand that, but still, it didn't seem like that sort of test that should be as hard as she was making it look. Things continued like this for a couple of weeks, and Kelly stocked the shelves when asked. She cleaned when asked, and she went on deliveries when asked, but at the same time, it always felt like everything took her a little longer than it should. With another employee to split the common jobs like cleaning duties, opening in the morning and closing at night, it should have gone quicker than ever. But when Kelly was scheduled to work, it actually seemed to take longer. She constantly looked lost when stocking the shelves, like she still hadn't learned the layout of the store after weeks of actually working there. All of her deliveries got the right customers, but she always took longer to come back than she should. Then there would be times when I would look for her and simply could not find her. She would disappear just like that, and it was like working with a really lazy ghost. My last straw was when we needed to, get her to make a quick delivery. One of our clients had a last-minute pitch meeting, and they sent us some materials to print for them, and we usually schedule our deliveries ahead of time, but they were in a crunch, and they relied on us to help them out as quick as possible, and we're generally willing to meet those type of requests if part of what keeps customers loyal. The guy in the printing department got everything ready, and we just needed Kelly to just run it over to the client's office, and I told her what exactly was going on, but she just stood against the counter in the break room texting. I told her that she was not on break and that the client needs her now, but she just said that she would get it done in just a few minutes. She eventually made the delivery, and she got it just in under the wire. The client was grateful, but I was furious that Kelly almost made us botch the job. It just feels like she doesn't really share the same values that make our business a local staple. Well, here's the real problem. My father was over the moon with pride because he thought Kelly has made a really important customer happy. He doesn't know what really went on behind the scenes, and since he's never listened to me about Kelly before, I'm a little scared that telling him will cause problems. I don't want to have issues with Cody or my father. I don't even really want to have them with Kelly. Still, her behavior needs to be addressed, and I've been working here for a long time. But we've never had an employee with this problematic issues before. I know Gabby has been a problem with it, as she had to take over cleaning duties at times when Kelly had disappeared, and there was no one waiting for Gabby at the register. Everyone else seems to think Kelly's doing just all hanky-dory. It feels like the best way for me to handle this is to address Kelly privately. I'm just worried that doing so might still cause problems if it gets back to my father or my brother. Is there a smart way to handle this so that no one is put out? Please let me know what you would do in the comment section down below, and I will be back for another update. Update number 1. Hey guys, I know it's been a couple of weeks, so I wanted to give an update on everything that's been happening and, with Kelly and the family business. Things have gotten a bit weird. First, I got some really good advice, even from the people who were kind of harsh about it. The main thing people kept telling me was that I should have had some evidence before confronting Kelly. Like somebody suggested, I started taking notes of when Kelly was performing her duties, especially slowly, or when she came across as rude when I asked her to do something. With a few exceptions, I was able to find that most of these behaviors were caught up on camera. After gathering some evidence, I waited for another accident, so I could confront her while it was still fresh. I got that opportunity after opening one morning. We usually start cleaning in the front so that anything we don't get done before opening will be less visible to the customers. Kelly likes to start in the back, and where we keep the office, break room, and employees' restroom. Since there's no cameras back there, and since my parents tend to come in a bit after we open, that leaves her without any accountability to see how fast that she's really working. It just seems like she's taking longer than everyone else, and I waited until we were finished opening, and I took her into my father's office for a chit-chat. I think she knew that something was coming because she looked incredibly nervous. So nervous, in fact, as I pulled up the camera feed on my father's computer right then and there. Well, I went through everything in the past couple of weeks that she's been caught putting lackluster effort into. And I also went through the times that she would leave on deliveries and when she returned and how much time those deliveries actually should have taken based on the distance from the client. I know, traffic can be considered unpredictable, so I'm willing to offer some leeway on that one, but some of her deliveries, they took over half an hour longer than they should have, at times when the traffic wasn't really that heavy. Finally, I brought up the issue of her always cleaning the back first, while we're all up front, and how opening always takes longer when she's scheduled. She got really defensive on that issue and told me that it should not matter as long as everything is getting done. Well, yeah, I guess that's true, but I am telling her that we need her to be up front in the morning so that we could communicate as a team. She reluctantly agreed. We had her on a double shift that day because there were a lot of deliveries, and while the delivery still took longer than I would have liked, she simply ran to the bathroom for a few minutes before closing, and then came back to work in the front as I'd asked. That was enough to feel like I'd gotten through to her. But here's the weird part. After Kelly had mostly done a better job for a few days, my mother called me, Steve, Cody, and my father into the office, and she looked serious. She said that she's been going through the monthly budget and there were thousands of dollars that were unaccounted for. All of our sales and purchases have been accounted for, but she traced it to a series of withdrawals made on the company debit card my father had kept in his office drawer. None of us had ever used that card for withdrawals, and I thought about how nervous Kelly was when I took her to the office and how defensive she was when I told her not to clean the back alone. I brought it up and asked my mother when the withdrawals started, and, well, they started after Kelly began working for us. Cody was furious. He screamed at me, saying he heard that I've been harassing Kelly about her work ethic. He went as far as accusing me of making the withdrawals myself to get Kelly in trouble. Then he stormed out. My father likes to see the best in people, so he doesn't know what to think. For now, he's simply locking his office when he's not in the store, and my parents, Cody, and I are the only ones with keys, so that should solve the problem if I'm right about Kelly. Well, we're just not sure how to even move forward at this point. It's a bit accusation-wise to make without proof, and I'm just not sure how you go about proving this sort of thing in the first place. So I do want to ask, does anybody have any ideas? Update number 2. Hey guys, it's been a few months since my last update about Kelly, and I've finally uncovered the truth. For a while, not much happened, and after my father started locking his office, the money stopped disappearing. If it was Kelly, she didn't have access to the card anymore. If it was anyone with a key, then I just assumed my mother finding the discrepancies in the book had struck enough fear into everyone that there would be no further stealing. Well then, a couple of months later, Cody lost his key. A father had asked him to get something out of the office that he's been holding for a customer, but I had to unlock it for him. Well, that brought all of my suspicions out that night, but Cody messaged everyone that night to let us know that he'd simply left his key on the nightstand and found it as soon as he got home. We figured everything was good, until the end of the month when my mother found another $1,000 missing. More withdrawals all on the same day. At that point, nobody knew what to think. I was still suspicious of Kelly, but Cody conveniently lost his key and then found it in the same day my father was thinking it was him. My parents wound up taking his office key away while they looked into it. We'd contacted the bank, hoping the ATM had cameras, but none of the withdrawals had come from a bank. They'd all come from a private ATM at a gas station nearby, and guys, we were absolutely stuck. That weekend, I was at one of the nicer shopping centers in the city looking for a gift for Julie's birthday. I found a camera store that sold a really cool deck of cards with different photography ideas on them. Things like taking pictures of odd cloud shapes or finding a unique way to photograph a bunch of ice cubes. They were the sort of weird ideas that I figured would be right up Julie's alley. As I was leaving, I passed a designer clothing shop and saw Kelly through the window. She was at the register with 2 bags in hand paying in cash. The dress that she had on was already nothing to turn your nose up at, and we pay our employees well. But it seemed out of her price range. It was the kind of thing Cody would not find strange because he doesn't know women's fashion. But I knew that she would have had to save up for a while to afford that dress, let alone whatever was in those bags. So I decided to just hang back and follow her to see where she'd go next. It did not take long. Her next stop was a spa that recently opened up at the shopping center. It's extremely high-end. They have services like $300 face mask or an 8-hand massage that cost more than 3 times as much. Even if you saved enough for the clothing, there's no way she could ever afford a spa trip just out of the blue like that. No wonder she has this job. It would be easy money if she has intention of working for it in the first place. I really was not sure what to do, guys. I was flabbergasted. I thought about calling someone, Cody, my father, heck, even Steve. The problem was that I technically had no proof at this time. I decided instead I should just wait on the bench across from the Iron Spa entrance until she came out so I could confront her myself, and yes, it took hours, but she eventually came out. I have to say they do good work there. She was glowing. Some of the glow faded when she saw me, and I did not mince my words. I told her exactly what I saw. She said that she has just been saving money from her paychecks, but I said that there's no way that she has been. She had to spend over $1,000 on this splurge alone. She did not admit to it, so I just whipped out my phone and took a picture of her with the shopping bags. I told her I would send it to my mom, who would absolutely know that those clothings and dress that she was wearing had to have cost a pretty penny. Well, that's when Kelly finally broke down crying and told me the truth. She said that Cody had used a card to buy gas when they went out to their first delivery, and she had noticed him putting in the PIN. She thought having 2 incomes would mean more luxury, and she was disappointed that their lifestyle had not changed. She just wanted to splurge one time, hoping nobody would notice, but she started getting addicted to it. She promised it was a mistake and begged me, pleaded with me not to tell anyone. Well, you know what, guys? It might actually sound pretty stupid. But I actually felt sorry for her. This woman was bawling her eyes out in a public place in a designer dress. Come on. I've never seen anybody do something like this before, and I decided, okay, I'll let her off with a warning. But only if she returned the clothing and gave me the money. I would put it in my father's desk drawer, and she would keep making payments once a week until she paid everything back that she stole. Nobody will know what she did, and my father will see that whoever stole the money is serious about paying it back. Everybody wins. Kelly agreed and gave me the tightest hug I've ever gotten, and she returned the clothing, gave me the money, and promised to pay again, and her paycheck was coming next week. We'll see if she keeps her word. Either way, the mystery is now solved. As long as Kelly makes her payments, I would consider the matter resolved completely. I hate that this happened, but hopefully she'll learn something and become a better person because of it. I'm upset that she did this in the first place, but, all that's left is to hope she does better from now on. The biggest part that bugs me is simply lying to my father. And I'm doing the right thing by helping her? I don't know. Update number 3. Kelly is an absolute snake. That's right. Most of this update happened last week, just so you know, but I've been too angry and depressed to even go about writing about it. So, a week after all the confrontation, I pulled Kelly aside during lunch and asked if she would been willing to make a payment again from what she stole from the business. She said that she had it in her car and told me to wait while she went out to get it, and I waited in the break room for a few minutes before Cody came in and angrily told me to come into my mother's office. When I walked in with him, both my parents were then there with Kelly. My mother, she was holding a stack of receipts apparently Kelly had brought to them and told them that they were proof that I was the thief. So I asked to see them. One was from the camera store where I'd bought Julie's gift, and another was a bunch of pet-related items. I'm the only one in my family with dogs. Every receipt in there looked like no one would have a reason to buy it but me. Every purchase appeared to have been made with a company card, and I pointed out that this doesn't make sense. The stolen money had come from a cash withdrawal. If I stole the cash, why would I suddenly start making trackable purchases? That's when my father brought up the cash that had just appeared in this drawer. Since Cody did not have a key anymore, I'm the only other person who could have gotten in there to plant the cash. That part of the arrangement with Kelly had never actually occurred to me. In the end, my father accused me of stealing the cash and then making other transactions while returning the cash as a decoy so they would not know that I was still embezzling from the company. Since Kelly said that she found the receipts in the front trash after I'd swept that morning, they believed it was just more evidence that I was trying to cover up my tracks. That's right. My father barely gave me a chance to even try to explain myself, and I tried telling him what happened with Kelly at the shopping center, but I'm telling you guys, he was not buying it. Since I'd made her return the clothing and deleted the pictures I've taken, I had no proof. He fired me right then and there on the spot and said he would call the police if I ever tried to contact him or my mom again. Almost no one in the family is talking to me anymore. Even Gabby, my best friend, says that she can't trust me after what they said I did. Steve has been cold and doesn't know if he believes me or not, and the only one fully on my side is Julie, and she has no real pull on anyone involved in the business. In the week since then, I spent most of my time either crying or looking for jobs, and the problem is that the story's been spreading. Since my father had such a great reputation with most of the local businesses in town, none of them want to hire a daughter who think that they stole from him. I don't know what to do about my job. I don't know what to do about my family. People always say that life isn't over as long as you're breathing, but I honestly have no idea where to go from here. So somebody, anybody, please drop a bit of advice. I feel so incredibly lost right now, and I don't really know what to do. Update number 4. Hey guys, it's been several months since my last post, but I'm relieved to offer as much of an optimistic update as I can compared to the last one. I've wanted so much to post about what's been going on, but I did not want to take the chance that it might get back to my family somehow. After everybody stopped talking to me, I tried to seek comfort by calling up old buddies. The thing is that most people don't love hearing from you after years just because you got lonely during a crisis, so most of them weren't exactly sympathetic. The one exception was my university friend Daniel. Not only did he listen, but he offered to help me out even. See, Dan comes from a pretty wealthy family and has a decent background in finances. He even went on to say that if my mother was looking solely at the receipts but not at the bank statements, there's a good chance that the receipts weren't real to begin with. If they were forged, they could get Kelly not only for embezzlement but also for fraud. He also said that people who stoop to that level tend to be dishonest in other areas of their life as well. Well, he had a plan, and he was going to help me prove it. It took a long time to play out, and Dan started having his accounting firm order supplies from my father's business, and even when they didn't need any, he would keep ordering and ordering until Kelly was the one who came to make the deliveries. He was able to get her to his firm once a week until he had finally flirted enough that she agreed. Okay, I'll go on a date with him. Oh, that's right, a date. Guys, Kelly even kissed him on the very first date, and a few dates later, she went home with him. He says that he never went all the way with her, but it doesn't matter. Julie was nearby, and Dad already got photos of them kissing, and she'd also gotten a picture of Kelly going into Dan's place. That was more than enough to expose her as a cheater, regardless of whether they would actually sleep together or not. So the problem was that was all we had. It would hurt Kelly, but it would not do much to help me, so Dan started carrying a recorder. Since she had been wearing her wedding ring when she met Dan, it wasn't a secret that Kelly was married. He first asked why she was unhappy in her marriage, and he caught her saying that Cody was a lousy provider with a lame job. Then he starts asking about her in-laws, and eventually they got to meet. Sure did. She laughed as she told him about how she got me fired even. Apparently, the only receipt she forged was the one from the camera store, and she just found a site online that does that for money. For the rest, she had actually made those purchases back when Cody, his keys went missing. She was the one who stole it and put it back on the nightstand even before he returned home from work. Then she just threw the goods that she'd purchased into a dumpster and made the cash withdrawal so it would distract my mother from noticing other charges right away. It was always her plan to frame me if she got caught. This conversation went down just a few days before Kelly's first anniversary with Cody. So I took Dan's recording and Julie's pictures and decided I'm going to crash the party. The moment I walked in, my father threatened to call the police if I did not leave immediately. I told him that when I was done talking, he'd probably want to call them anyways. The second I pulled out the recorder and the photos, and Kelly started crying and begged me not to do that. She knew what I was planning to do. Her tears did not work on me this time, and I played the recordings and showed the photos to Cody. Then explained again everything that just happened at the shopping center the week before she framed me. Cody was furious, and not just at her. He told her to leave, but then he told me to leave as well. He was angry that I had not told him all of this in private. He felt like I had made a fool out of him in front of everyone, and he was angry. He was angry at the ruse with Dan, saying that Kelly might not have cheated if I had not set her up. Well, I can't prove that right or wrong, to be honest, but I assured him they didn't sleep together. But he didn't believe me and didn't really honestly care. My parents were angry about the part of it too. In the end, though, I did get my job back. Kelly is the one who's been kicked out of the family business as well as the family as a whole. My father made her the same deal he made with me. He won't be pressing charges as long as she stays the heck away from us. I know I've said this before, but I think everything is actually resolved now, except for the fact that Cody still isn't talking to me. I hope that doesn't last forever, but I honestly don't know if it will or not. Let me know. Did I make a bad idea?